Hi everyone, this is Jade. Welcome back once again to my channel, and I'm so happy to be filming this video for you because now I'm actually going to be talking about the experience of being in Finland, and more precisely I'm gonna be talking about the 10 things that really shocked me when I came to Finland. So my 10 biggest shocks and my 10 first biggest impressions, because I've been in Finland already 10 years. So as you might say, I could easily make a video of 50 or 100 things about things that shocked me or surprised me about Finland, because you keep just learning all the time. And I can definitely do a video like that, but that's not the case. In this video, I'm just gonna talk to you about the 10 things that shocked me, impressed me the most when I first came to Finland, when it was 2010 and when I was 16 years old. So in my past video, I basically told you how I actually went from, being a high school student in Mexico to actually going on exchange. And when I got like my positive decision that the Rotary Club told me, Jade, you got selected to go to Finland. This is a thing. You're good to go. I got my residence permit. I started some basic Finnish lessons. I took the first plane that took me to London. I took the second plane that took me to Helsinki, which is the capital of Finland, in case you don't know. And then I was in the airplane, okay? Like, let's start by picturing that, because of course I'm talking to you about the 10 things that shocked me the most as I first arrived. So I'm gonna take the 10 things exactly as I started to experiencing them as I arrived to the country. So first of all, it was me going out from this airplane in August 2010, Helsinki, me, 16-year-old version of me. So if I have a picture, I'm just gonna post it here. If I don't, then I probably didn't include it there. So I was going out from the airplane, and the first thing that I noticed was that I didn't understand the language. And yes, this might be like, oh my God, Jade, are you serious? But yes, I am serious. If you didn't know, I was a person that until the age of 16, I had not gone anywhere abroad. I had never traveled abroad. I had never been in a different country. So for me, it was like shocking. Like my brain had a difficulty processing that I was reading a text and I could not understand what the text meant. Like, thank God there was a translation in English below it. But I was like, oh my God, I am in a country where people literally speak a language that for them it feels normal because it's their language, and that's how they grew up, like with this language. I know it sounds a little bit ridiculous what I'm telling, but like give me a little bit of space because I've never traveled abroad, so please. And I was like, wow, like this is like so complicated, this is so difficult, and for the people living here, this is just so normal. And so, I've always communicated in this language and it's so understandable, it's just so common, just as for me Spanish. So the first biggest shock was the language. I was looking at the what is it, like the announcements and all the like signs that I could find in the airport, and I just could not understand shit. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like I truly can't understand. So that was number one. But okay, that might be like, Jade, that's kind of basic. And yes, it's kind of, but I really want to make all my videos super honest. So that was the first thing that happened for me. So then I continued, I pick up my luggage, I go through the, through the security, and I was like, oh my God, like Finnish people are serious. But okay, well, I have to give it like, I was going through security. So I have not traveled abroad that much, at least not back then. I haven't met a lot of security people that are like, welcome to this country. Could you please hand me your passport? How about your residence permit? Oh my God, thank you. Welcome to the country. So that was not the way, of course. I met this very tall Finnish guy, like so blonde and so tall and so serious. He was like, and I was like, and well, anyways, everything went fine. Of course, I was coming on exchange. I had my residence permit, like everything online, so no problems. I had like a long flight and I was very thirsty. So the first thing as I arrived to the airport was like, okay, I need to have some water. So I went to the nearest store, I was looking like, okay, I'm gonna buy a water, and I saw the prices. And I saw like a water bottle €1.80. I was like, what? That in Mexican pesos, that's like what, 30 pesos? Like I was like 30 pesos. I was like, are you kidding me? Like this is a bottle of water. Like what is this? Like gold? That was the second thing that I experienced in Finland. After realizing that I didn't understand the language, then I went to the store and I was like, this is ridiculous. Like a water bottle, like almost €2. Like, you know what? I'm not thirsty. Like, who's thirsty? I am not thirsty. So that was the second thing. Like for me, like the price difference was like so shocking. I think my parents had given me some like €300, kind of like, you know, to have something in cash if I like needed it. But I was like, you know what? Like I'm not thirsty. I don't need the water. I'm not gonna spend €2 on a water because that's just very expensive. So I won't do it. And I did not. And that was the second thing that shocked me. I just could not process how water could be that expensive. At least at that time, for me, water was too expensive. And well, we arrived at the airport. I was not alone. I was with all the other Mexican exchange students that had come on the same flight. We were going to be picked up by Rotex people and Rotary people from the airport, and we were going to be transferred to a 1-week camp in the city of Tampere, or near the city of Tampere. The name of the camp, I don't know, everyone called it Karku. I've never researched it actually after my exchange, so I'm not sure if Karku is just like the name of a camp or the name of a smaller city. I think it's the name of a camp, but it was in Karku where we had our camp. And it was near Tampere because we had like a 1-day trip to Tampere. So yeah. And we were like this 1 week there before we actually went with our host families. Actually, our host families went to pick us up from the camp. And in this camp, we basically really got to know all the rest of the exchange students that were going to be in Finland during that year. We started having like this 101 crash course on Finnish language, on Finnish culture. We had a lot of fun. We had our Rotex people there, which basically are like people that were already exchange students, but that are like Finnish. Not necessarily all of them were Finnish. There's also people that have been exchange students and that came back to Finland, as it was my case, and that then they are Rotex people. So that's how it was. And we had an amazing week, and throughout the week, we had to go and experience these very, very Finnish, very, very dear element of the Finnish culture, which is the sauna. And we went to the sauna, and that was like the third shock that I had, because like people would go naked to the sauna. And when I just saw all the girls just like, let me undress, I'm gonna go to the sauna. And I saw like all the girls undressing and going there. I was like, naked. Naked. like I could not process, and they did it so naturally, just like, you know, so natural. Like, I'm gonna get naked and I'm gonna go to the sauna, and this is just like, you know, normal. And I was like, what do you mean? like no, of course, you know, all these persons had already been exchange students, so of course they were aware of these cultural differences. They were like, okay, well, you know, we know that for some countries that might just come as a shock, so do not worry, you can wear your towel, you can wear your swimming suit. But for me, you know, the nakedness was like even more, because it was not in the sauna. Like girls would just go, like, you know, after sauna and naked, like jumped to the lake, just like la, 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 lake. And I was like, you are like in the outside, walking in the outside, naked. What do you mean? Of course, now it's just a normal to me. Actually, I really thank Finnish society in that respect. I cannot say how exactly it is in Mexico, because like bear in mind that I literally came to Finland for the first time when I was 16, and I started living to Finland when I was 18. So a lot of my like adult, youngster, late teenage years, I spent them in Finland. But at least in Mexico, by the time that I left, it was like nakedness. It was like, no, we don't naked. No naked, please. So I really like that throughout the years, and I don't think that happened throughout my exchange. I don't think it did. I think it became kind of like acceptable for me to just be naked with the family or with the sisters that I was with. But actually, I'm not too sure. I don't remember for sure, but it really didn't. It took more than a year for me to just be like, I'm gonna be naked and I'm just gonna go and so no. But after, as the years have passed and now I can say it a little bit in retrospective, I definitely, I feel so comfortable now being naked, which is so weird to say to the camera. But I think that's in a huge part just because of the Finnish culture. But just at the beginning, when I just saw the girls going to the sauna and then jumping to the lake and then just being all naked, I was like, are you sure? So nakedness is the third shock that I had. And actually I had written everything here because I'm trying to make a more structured video. So if you just see me watching here, it's because of that. And then of course we have this 1 week camp. Then at the end of the week, my host family, the Lami family, came to pick me up with lovely Virpi and Juha and my little sister Sara. They came to pick me, and the second thing that I noticed was there and throughout the trip was there was so much nature. In Mexico, at least in the part of Mexico where I live, we have something called lagunas, which maybe looks like a lake, but it's not. You don't go to swim to a laguna. It's cold and people just don't swim there. So for me it was new that people would just go swim to the lake. But it was beautiful, but it was weird. It's oh my God, you're swimming in the lake? What do you mean you're swimming in a lake? For me in Mexico, swimming, you go to the swim to a pool, you go to a swim to the sea, you go to swim to a river, but to a lake, I don't know. I'm sure we have a lot of lakes in Mexico, but I've never gone to a lake to swim. So I was like, what, swimming on a lake? And then I could see so much nature, so much green. Actually, and I am lying, even though I wrote this paper, I totally forgot. The very first thing, even before the language, and actually I had it here, which is Finnish nature, because Finland is so rich in nature, so many lakes. I think it's even called the country of the 1,000 lakes. And they have so many trees. You see so much green, but actually this just... And you can see that I have a really bad memory because I even wrote this list and now I'm remembering that, okay, I'm missing things. So the fourth thing that surprised me was nature. And of course I could see the nature all the way around, but that was the first thing that I could actually see from the sky. So when I was arriving to Helsinki and they were saying okay, well, we're arriving to Finland, my very first impression was I can only see green. Where are the houses? It's I come from a city, so I could only see green, and I was like, what is going on? Where's the city? Where's the houses? Where do people live? But yeah, well, anyways, later on I realized that yes, there's houses, but there's also a lot of nature, which I really love. Honestly, if you want to be near to the nature, if you want to have the forest, just 5 to 10 minutes, away from the place where you live, that's beautiful. It's honestly beautiful. So the first thing that shocked me, impressed me about Finland was its nature, its forests. It's incredibly beautiful. During the autumn, we went there to collect blueberries, to collect mushrooms. And it was just so cool as we were walking in the week that we were in Tampere, we were collecting berries. Actually, no, I'm lying. That was in another camp. We didn't go to collect berries in Karku. But in another camp that we had later during our exchange that was in Pieksämäki, we did collect berries and we were just eating the blueberries as we were walking through the forest. So that was beautiful. And Finland is so rich in nature. And in the autumn, you get to collect mushrooms and blueberries and other types of berries, million types of berries. They have so many berries in Finland. So yeah, the nature really, it was very impressive since the moment I was in the airplane. And then as I got to experience it by swimming in the lake and walking in the forest, I was like, wow. But then as I arrived to the house of my host family, and as I saw how the other houses were, I was like, wow, houses are in Finland very different. And I can say that to date, I've never been in a Finnish house that I can say like, oh wow, this house is ugly. I have seen like a little bit like old apartments in Finland, like these kind of like older apartments have these a lot of yellow, a lot of green kind of cabinets. But other than that, other than the old styled like apartments, I can't say I've been in a Finnish house that's not super beautiful. So I was very surprised by the quality of the houses. Like all the houses were so beautiful. Like I just could not understand. In Mexico, we have like there's a huge difference in social, like like economical classes, like in social classes. So, you know, you can clearly see like a wow house in Mexico. Then you can be like, oh, well, this is like, you know, millionaire, this is like rich, this is like high class, this is like medium class, this is like medium, and it's like, oh yeah, this is like a poor house. Oh, is this a house? So in Mexico, you can see so many different types of houses. And in Finland, all the houses that I have been seeing, they're all so beautiful. So beautiful houses in Finland. I've never been in a house that I cannot say it's not beautiful in Finland. Maybe it can be old, as I mentioned before, but beautiful it is. So yeah, and then of course the sixth shock was how clean it was. Like Finland is such a clean country, like it's so clean. Like it is literally so clean, like people don't just throw stuff at the street. Like people with dogs actually pick the poo of their dogs. Like it's very clean. And even like now that I have been living like more in Finland, like yes, there is sometimes that people just throw the stuff in the trash, but it gets clean. And normally when people throw stuff in the trash, it's because they go to the bars, because it's probably Friday or Saturday and they are drunk. So, you know, then they might leave some McDonald's here and there. But yeah, so I was very impressed with how clean it was. And as I started my school during my exchange year, my host mom, Birpi, she taught me how to go from like the house where I was staying, so her house, to my high school. And she taught me how to use the bus. So the seventh thing that I got super shocked was about the transportation, the security, and kids coming, like kids using public transport. And I must say this just because all these insights just came at the same time. Literally, like she was telling me like, okay, we're gonna take the bus. And I step on the bus and I was like, wow, this is such a beautiful bus. That was the first thing that came to my mind. Like, how beautiful bus. Like you have a card and then you put it near the card reader and it makes beep. And that's all. And you can get like, you know, you can beep it like as many times as you want, and you can like travel for a month, like, and take as many buses as you need. I'm like, wow. So that was the first thing. I was like, wow, technology, like, you know. And the Finnish buses, when they make this stop, they kind of like lean like towards you, like they become kind of like lower. So when they stop and they allow you to enter the bus easier, like in a easier manner. So it goes like ding, and then you like go up, then you make the beep, and then you go, and there's like the normal seats, and then there's at the middle, there's these seats that there's like 4 seats, so you can like face each other. So it's nice if you go like in a bigger group. You don't have to go like in these very traditional 2 seats. You can go in groups of 4. So I thought like, oh my God, this is like so pretty. And they had a lot of like stop buttons. And they had like oh my God. I don't know why, but I'm just talking so much about transportation. But I was shocked that there's specific bus stops. Like the bus had a route and they were specific bus stops. In Mexico, just in case you are being like, okay, why is Heidi surprised about bus stops? Well, in Mexico, if you wanna, like, of course we have also bus stops in Mexico, but it's less regulated. So at least when I traveled in those years in Mexico, like I would just go into the bus and be like, to the driver of the bus, I would be like, hey, could you just leave me in that corner, please? Or then like you would just like click this thing and be like, oh, backhand, which means like I'm going down. And you could actually, you know, just stop the buses like anywhere. Like, you know, if a bus was going, of course it's decision of the bus, does this bus stop or not? But usually they do. So you just go like, And then they stop, and it doesn't matter are you in a bus stop or not. So I was very shocked when I came to Finland, and I was like, oh my God, like the buses stop in certain places. And if you are not in that place, then they won't stop. And if you're not in time in that bus stop, then they are not gonna stop, or they are gonna leave without you. Like, I felt so offended the first time that like a bus left without me. I was like, oh my God, like I was waving, I was like, you know, running like, hey, wait for me. And he left, you know, he was like, it's like 4:00, so I'm just gonna leave. And I was like, I'm freaking like waving at you and you're just like leaving? Like, what do you mean? Anyway, punctuality. I kind of like got a lot of other things now running as I start talking about it, but yes, the security, like the transportation, I was like, okay, beautiful buses, incredible that they like stop at certain places and they have a route. They were very, very pretty buses, to be honest. And then I was so shocked about the security, you know, because I was also in my first family, I had a very, very little sister. I think she was maybe like 7 years old, something like that, and maybe 6 or 7. And she went to her school like alone. Like, of course, she didn't use a bus. I think she used a bike. But like, she was like 6 or 7 and she went to the school alone. Like, what? And I was 16 when I was an exchange student in Finland, and my mom told me like, okay, well, you know, you take the bus here, you take it off here, then when you want to go back, you take the bus here and you live here. And I was like, is she gonna like let me like move alone in Finland? Like, I'm only 16 years old, because of course in Mexico, like my parents always took me to school and picked me up. So I was like, I was so shocked about the security, like, and everything came like on the same, like that's why I say that my 7th shock was security, transport, and kids going alone to school. Because I went to the bus, then I was shocked by the bus. I was just shocked by, you know, how secure it is, the transportation system. And then I also learned that, you know, little kids can just go there, like, you know, 5 years old and be to the bus like, beep. And then just go and they're like, I know my deal. And I'm like, oh my God, but you're alone. You don't have your mother. What do you mean? What if something could happen to you? Well, no, nothing can happen to these people or to these kids. It's super secure in Finland. And now we go to my 8th shock. This, I hope I can grab this before the half an hour mark, but I'm just having so much fun, and I think that probably you will also have a lot of fun, and if not, well, then maybe that's okay too. But the 8th shock that I had was about distance, because I started my studies. I studied in Kuopion Lyceon Lukio, which is the Liceo of Kuopio, high school of Kuopio, called Liceo. And yeah, in the Liceo of Kuopio. And it was very cool because when I started classes, I would just go and wait and sit there in the benches that were outside from the classrooms. And the first thing that I noticed is like, wow, like Finnish people need their distance. Like, I would get so weirded out that I would go like, and I'm like, you know, sitting there. And then the Finnish student would go like, if I would go too near, they would go like, and I was so weirded out. I was like, oh my God, like, do I smell like what's wrong with me? Like, why are you like going away? Well, I learned it's because of the distance. So Finnish people respect distance. There's actually a lot of memes done about this. I don't think you need to keep like the freaking like 2 meters distance between each other. But yes, like just don't come too near. It's weird and it's not appreciated. And like I cannot even start to imagine how awkward it would have been for this Finnish person just to be, you know, sitting in their high school waiting for the class to start, and this Mexican girl comes, sits next to this person very, very near, like, I'm also gonna wait for my class. So yeah, I guess I understand why they went like. So yeah, distance. Respect the distance. That also goes in the bus. Like, if you ever come to Finland and you notice, there's like always like, first everyone takes like a 1 person per like 2 seats. And then only after those are completely full, then they start sitting next to each other. But if there is like a 1-2 line person that it's not occupied, they would go there. Like they are not gonna come and sit next to you. That doesn't happen. And a lot of Finnish people actually like put their bag next to it. So even if all the one seats are like full, like if you wanna sit there, you sometimes have to be like, excuse me, could you like pick your bag and let me sit there? But yeah, so that was my shock number 8, the distance. Then shock number 9 was the schools. And I have so many things to tell about the schools, but the very first thing was about the schedule. Because in Finland, like high school students get to choose the subjects that they study. And I think they have to study about like 70 subjects or 70 courses, 70 or 80 courses. Like, please, if you are a Finnish person that's watching this video up until this moment of the video, and I'm saying something wrong, like just please correct me in the comments. But I think they have to complete something like 70, 75 or 80 courses throughout the whole high school. And then they only make exams. I think that they, like the mandatory lesson, like the mandatory subjects that they have to have, it's only like, was it like 4 subjects that they have to present or 3? So they can study whatever, like they just need to complete all their courses. But then their final examinations, they can only choose like, okay, you know, I'm gonna study these 70 courses or 80 courses throughout my high school. But then to graduate and the diploma that they get, it's like, okay, they need to have like Finnish language. Then they need to have, I think that they need to have something like a science, like a natural science or something. And I think then they have to have a language, like either Swedish, English or something. And then they have to have like something, I think it's like 3 or 4 stuff that they have to make a final exam. But it doesn't matter like what they write or which courses do they study throughout their high school. First of all, they get to choose them. So if you're a person that are like, I don't, you know, and they have levels of maths, like they have higher level of maths and lower level of maths. So if you're not a maths person, like you don't have to worry about that. Like you're like, okay, you know, I'm gonna study the short maths, which is like the more basic maths. And if you are like, well, you know, like I'm into chemistry, you can study chemistry. But if you are like, I'm not into chemistry, I'm into psychology, you can study psychology. So they have a lot of freedom. And then at the end of the day, they just have to choose, I don't remember if it's 3 or 4 main subjects, and that's the final exams that they present. And that's the subjects that appear in their like high school certificate. So I was just so shocked by how they could choose what do they want to study. And I was also shocked by how, what was I gonna say? I was very shocked about how they only had to write like 4 subjects in order to graduate. That was very shocking. And of course, because they get to choose their classes, there might be times where they school, actually also schools start at 8 a.m. So I was like so shocked because my school in Mexico started like 7:30. So I was like, in Finland, people start like at 8:10, like that's so late, people. I think like 8 a.m. Anyways, and if they choose like different subjects, then, you know, in high school, their school might not, if they don't have a lesson whose class starts at 8, then there might be days where they just start like their classes at 10, or they finish their classes at 2, or then they have like classes from 8 to 10, and then they have like 3 hours, and then they have classes from 2 to 4. And on Fridays, like all Fridays, high school ends at 2. So I was like, you start at 8 and on Fridays you finish at 2. I was blown away by the high school system. And I think I could speak so many things more about the high school system, but I'm just gonna wrap it here because otherwise this is gonna just go on forever. And the 10th and last shock that I had was about friends, like Finnish friends and English language. First of all, I was so impressed about the English level that Finnish people have, even if they are like, I don't speak English, like they do speak English. They might be a little bit shy and they might, you know, like get a little bit loosened up with a little bit of alcohol, but all of them speak to some extent English. And I couldn't be more impressed about that. I was honestly extremely impressed by the level, because, you know, Finnish people might say like, I don't speak good English. Well, they do speak good English. Like there might be like the difference, do they speak academic English or, you know, like incredibly English, but they speak like almost every Finn has a really good level of English. And I was very surprised about it. But then again, because I don't know if for not like, well, I like, yes, I know for a lot of people it might just not come as the first thing that they are like, oh, I want to speak to you in English. So at least during my exchange, I had a lot of difficulties to make friends with Finns. I actually had only like from school, like close friends from school. I only had two. Her names were Julia and the other was Emilia. And those were the only friends that I did from my high school. Actually, my exchange, and that's like a story for another video, but in my exchange, I was with a girl from Chile and a guy from Brazil, so Melissa and Joao, and they were freaking amazing. So basically, all my exchange, I spent them basically with them. And a lot of times with these Julia and Emilia, and then sometimes also with, of course, with my sisters, my siblings, and the friends of my sisters and brothers, because in my fourth family I had a lot of brothers. So yeah, I was very impressed by the level of English, and I was also very weirded out with how difficult it was to make Finnish friends, but how whenever I made a Finnish friend, like I'm still friends with Julia. We talked from time to time, and with Emilia, I know that she studied business. She then was working a little bit on a bank. So we don't remain like so friends, but we remain as people who know each other. And those were like friendships that actually lasted, in a sense that when I actually came back, it lasted a little bit longer. And I'm sure that if I see them again any other day, I could just talk with them and everything's cool. But that was the 10th shock. And actually, I'm just, given that this video it's already so long, I'm just gonna take the chance and talk about the 11th shock that I had, just because this was something that I experienced at the very beginning and I just totally forgot to mention it. So I'm not gonna trust anymore on my lists from now on. But it was about the silent, because when my first host family picked me from the camp, I could not just understand how Finnish people could be so comfortable with silence. I got so frustrated when my family picked me up from the camp, and we had like about 4 or 4.5 hours drive from Tampere to Kuopio, and I ran out of topics. Like I had asked everything that I could have possibly asked, and they were not asking me any more things, to talk about. So there was a point where I just ran out of topics. I didn't know what to say. They were not telling anything to me. And as a Mexican, like we always talk of whatever shit, it doesn't matter what are you talking about. It doesn't matter if you're talking about shit, but you're talking about something. And Finnish people are, if you're not talking about something relevant, it's totally fine to be quiet, to be in silence. And for me as a Mexican, that was just so weird. So I was in a car and people were quiet, and I was just like, I was so frustrated with silence. And now it's so different, because now I'm so comfortable with silence. I'm like, I have nothing to say. I generally have something to say, but if I don't, then it's okay to be quiet. Like I don't really mind at all, but that has changed. The first time that happened, it was really, really crazy. And I also remember that when they picked me up from the camp and I heard them talking between each other in Finnish, I was just so weirded out with Finnish language. I was so shocked. I couldn't even understand where was one word ending and the other one starting. I was like, me no understand. But anyway, so 34 minutes of video, and I was able to tell my 10 biggest shocks of the Finnish culture when I came to Finland. I hope maybe of some of these things resonated with you. Please let me know, comment below, ask questions, let me know what you think. I'm so sorry this video went for so long, but I had so many things to share, and let me know, is this a too long video? Would you prefer that maybe I just make like 5 difference part 1, 5 difference part 2, 5 difference part 3? Or maybe I just want make like at least just all the differences, and because I've lived in Finland for such a long time, I have a lot to share. But those were the first things that came to my mind, and it's just really nice to just look back at those things. But thank you very much for watching this video, and in my next video I'm actually not going to go directly back to my story at the moment. I'm gonna just go to the present moment and talk a little bit. I got a question in a previous video. There was this person asking about why did I choose to study my master's at the University of Eastern Finland, and I decided not to apply to a master program from the capital area, which is kind of like where most people apply to. So I'd like to talk a little bit more about the topic of why did I choose to study where I choose to study. If you don't know, I'm studying the master program in international sales, international business and sales management. No, sorry, international sales and business management at the University of Eastern Finland. And I want to talk a little bit more about why did I choose this master's, why did I choose this program, and why did I choose the University of Eastern Finland. So if you're interested to hear a bit about that, just stay tuned and let's see in the next video. In the meanwhile, have a wonderful day, have a wonderful time, and stay safe. See you then. Bye.